Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm Ryan Hicks. I head business development at Rallyo. I'm also the host of Modern Business Podcast. We have a really good Springboard at home, the fourth one lined up for you guys today. Another really great audience here. Wanted to start off with a quick word of inspiration. I was actually over on LinkedIn and I saw a quote from Catherine Monson. She puts up videos out to folks at IFA, 2-minute videos, but the quote that she talked about was, "A diamond is a piece of coal that took stress very well." And she talked about being a diamond versus being a piece of coal. And she said that it comes from courage and it comes from calmness. And she really opened up. She shared the fact that she said she doesn't always feel that way, but as we're going through a super tough time, she had a really good word of advice and said, emotions follow actions. And even if we don't feel positive or courageous or calm as we're going through this wild time, if we train ourselves to act as a diamond as opposed to a coal, then good things follow. So I really appreciated that word of inspiration. You should also go check out those videos because she puts up great stuff. Couple of quick announcements. One, the first I think is going to be very helpful for a lot of you in the audience. Last night, Zach and I had a Zoom call. We were on with Shelly's son, and she told us about an initiative that they have created. So for those of you that need help securing PPE, that's thermometers, gloves, masks, etc., Brightstar has been in a position where they were able to bulk purchase a lot of these things, and they've done a partnership with Franworth to distribute these things at cost for the product, cost for the shipping. So you can get that resource at libertyfulfillment.com. Just click the register button. That's a really phenomenal resource. I'm going to kick it over to Brad and Lane for a couple of quick announcements, and then we're going to get in. We've got a really great panel discussion lined up for you today. So Brad and Lane.
Let me fill in a little bit more. Shelly and John Rachi of Franworth have been working in conjunction with the IFA. So about the PPE stuff. So you can find all the information by going through the IFA, going onto their site. And like I said, it's been very, very difficult. And as we're going to hear about from Penny and Shane today about reopening, PPE is going to be a big part of the equation. And we're all going through it. I know I'm going through it from my office. And I don't think my office, if I'm being realistic, you know, being in the state of Illinois, we were told we can't do anything till, as of now, to May 30th at the earliest. So I'm looking probably June 15th, but it's a good time to start looking for PPE.
Just Ryan, quickly, I just sort of want to make sure that I recognize that, you know, I spend a lot of time on the phone with people, and I just want to point out the emotional toll that this whole has taken on has on franchise executives, as franchise professionals, people that were slaying the world, like Shane and Penny, but others that were all moving in a positive direction, that thought life was about your next growth spurt and how you dealt with things that you'd seen in the past. There's a place in my heart. I talk to people and you can hear in their voice that the emotional toll. And then to all those folks that are furloughed and laid off, I can't imagine the kind of emotional uncertainty that primary breadwinners and other people in families, you know, are experiencing as this thing goes on, and as these fixes are supposed to work and trickle down. But, you know, we were on Whiskey Wednesday, Brad, and we made our toast to them. And so we're not drinking, but I still appreciate them. We are getting a lot of traction and activity on our switchboard, which was conceived by one of our franchise family members, who said it would be really, really nice of you folks to try to assemble all the resumes of qualified and available people in one place, and it doesn't cost anything. And so we're amassing resumes by the day. We need more job postings as people bring more stuff online. I think it's going to be, you know, largely a function of what happens in, you know, in the areas and geography where people are opening. But we want to make sure you folks are checking that as a resource, and that becomes the primary resource. But it needs, for it to be robust, it has to have people resumes and has to have jobs. I think some people I would put their employment status as question mark at the moment, because they hope to come back and maybe, and I think that we can see that we have a lot more traction in the hundreds, several hundred on the Facebook page of people who just are engaging and reading some of the content and dealing with some of the things that they hope to help get them back engaged. But anyway, so not to go on and on, but Switchboard's there. It's easy to find on Franchisors.com. We constantly take feedback and any kind of communication about it, because we're just trying to make sure that it's user-like. There's nothing in it for us. We are here only to try to assemble something in one place that you don't have to make 63 cuts on Indeed or LinkedIn or pay some ridiculous membership fee to have access into those people. So I want to not for 1 minute take away from the amazingness of Shane and Penny, and that we lose Penny, and that we talk about and get a glimpse into what Massage Heights is doing. These webinar series, I'm told, are very helpful to people, because people are coming on at different stages, and in Philly, we'll be the last to come on. We'll have the benefit of what you and others did everywhere else, Shane. So people ask like, what will happen here? It'll be like, well, it depends on what happens in Texas. It depends on what happens in, Atlanta and these other venues. So I appreciate you. I know we put you on the spot to say like, what are you doing to fix things, as if you had a magic wand, but it's, I appreciate you sharing where you're at, and your honesty is refreshing.
Lane, let me add on really quick, very quickly. Alicia Bastante, who's president and CEO of FranServe, used to be a recruiter in her former life. And the people who are looking at our Facebook page for Franchisors.com, she's putting up some really good information. And also, we just added today Mike Ruiz, who's CEO of Global Talent Solution. And these are all ideas to help some of our people who are part of our Switchboard life and of the franchise family. And so anyone who really questions if we are going to be going to Zoom and everything, technology for the future. So Penny, who was just with us 2 minutes ago, is going through, what is it, Ryan? She's going through internet issues, phone issues.
She had so much energy, she gave a surge. So they have a
so,
energy.
So all the people who think we're going to be working from our house for the next 10 years, I don't agree with it. As you can possibly see, there are technical issues that go along. So go ahead, Ryan. We'll take it from there.
Yeah. So Penny,
there she is.
Penny's back. I don't see her, but okay, there she is, and she's on video. Perfect timing, Penny, because we are now going to introduce you and Shane. So guys, we have Shane Evans. She's the co-founder and the president of Massage Heights. I'm a longtime customer of Heights. I cannot wait till Dallas is back open so I can get in. We have Penny Rehling. She's the chief operating officer of the Spice and Tea Exchange. I'm also a customer of yours. I've got your candles and your teas and everything. So both of you guys, many thanks for joining us today. Let's start off, Shane, quick introduction on yourself and your brand to give the audience context that might not know you.
Sure. I'm co-founder of Massage Heights. We founded the brand in 2004 in San Antonio, Texas. We're at about 140 units in the US and Canada. And we're a membership-based massage and skincare concept. And as you can see with my background, it's a really elevated environment. So we provide just a lot of value to our guests through that membership model, making it affordable, but in a really upscale retreat-like environment.
Beautiful. Penny. I think we might have lost Penny again. Okay,
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah. It looks like you're muted now.
You're muted again.
Can you unmute her?
Still muted.
Tony, if you could click unmute, I don't have that control.
Can you guys hear me now?
Now we got you.
Yes. Okay, sorry about that. Penny Railings, we started in August of 2008, which if you guys, everybody on here is pretty reminiscent of a other kind of crazy time that we were in, although we did seem to have a little bit of preparation for that. We currently, as I heard Ryan at the very beginning, everybody, or maybe it was Brad, everybody started out really strong. We were at almost 80 locations of the Spice and Tea Exchange. We are an experience-based company where you come into our our store, and we encourage you to open the jars and smell. So obviously COVID has changed a little bit of that for us, or a lot of that for us as well. And I'm grateful to be here and help wherever I can. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. So to kick things off, both of you guys were at Unconference. I think actually everybody here on video, we were all at Unconference when things started hitting the fan. What was that experience like, and how did that help a little bit? Because I think it helped a lot of people in terms of jump starting the messaging, but talk a little bit about that experience.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Shane, you want to go?
I'll go. Super surreal. I would just say, you know, we were, I think, in a dinner the very first night we all arrived there when we started getting the messages that the NBA and the MLB and the this and the that and everything was shutting down. And we had seen sort of that gradual effect of some of the, you know, bigger South by Southwest and such had already kind of made that decision. And now these other things, and I think it became very real that, oh, wow, we've got a serious issue on our hands. And it was, you know, Brad and Lane and the team that I think really pivoted in our conversation the next morning to really focus on this particular conversation. And it was amazing to be able to collaborate with so many different people from different industries, different supplier partners from finance. IFA was there, BDO, and it was incredible to be able to share that experience with so many people that we're close to.
1,000%, Shane. We felt the same way. It was March the 13th, and I really do hold this as one of those pivotal moments. I remember the night before when we were all together and Lane saying, you know what, I think we're going to switch up what we're talking about tomorrow. It seems to be a hotter topic. And I remember at that moment, we turned on the news, and Amy and I in our room watched it go from 100 cases in the United States to, by the next morning, which we kept on the news all night long, it was at over 2,000. And so we knew that something really big was happening. And I do believe that Unconference was such a blessing for us, because we immediately got our executive team on the phone, and we immediately started the communication process that we were going to offer to our franchise owners, because we knew that if we were getting that it was going to hit home elsewhere too. So it was huge preparation for us, but definitely one of those moments that when somebody says, where were you when COVID hit? That, I know for us personally, was that kind of moment, because we were all really out there together and just saying what the heck's happening, as the whole world was.
Yeah. So fast forward now, the theme for today as we're running through is back to business, because both of you guys you're in markets where you're seeing openings, you're learning some things that a lot of people here I think would want to hear in terms of feedback. So I'll start with you, Shane, first. What are you seeing in the field? I think Colorado's a market that is coming back on. What are you seeing in the field, and what is kind of the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks look like for you guys?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, we came into this thinking, well, we are really, really lucky for a number of reasons. Massage Heights is a membership-based model, and we've been able to retain a significant portion of our members throughout this time. They've been very, very supportive. And so we feel we have a lot of hope in coming back very strong. When we opened up Colorado, we had a stellar weekend. All of the locations did really, really well. We had one specific location that just in 3 days did nearly 180 appointments. So it was inspiring and hopeful to see that people really wanted to come in and get these services as much as the media and people in general have been a little, scared about personal services and the close proximity. So that was great. However, on Monday or Tuesday of this week, Colorado did change the ordinance. And so we've now had to pivot again. So 4 days of back in business strong, everything going really, really great. We've made some changes into the way that we do things, which I can share with you later on that. But it wasn't going to make an impact on the business. But a few days later, they came in and they said, actually, it's going to be a 10-person occupancy at any given time. So for us, we thought we had this really positive situation where we could prevent too many people in one space, so the lobbies, and just sort of stagger people in because they're going into private rooms one-on-one. But now with the ordinance changing and it's only 10 people max occupancy in the space during any given time, that will affect the business model to some degree going forward.
Penny, what about you? What are you seeing with some of the reopenings?
So we've had a lot of positive reaction, has been the initial at first, which is exciting. Our EVP of franchising, Marty's been sharing us the numbers on the daily of those that have reopened, and they've been promising over year. We too are proceeding with caution. We've had an entire team that has put together some items as far as what to look like to reopen. Instead of the 25% occupancy, I think we're doing 10 people per 500 square feet because our footprint is in fact smaller. But what we're seeing initially is a really positive response in people that are having an initial rush. Glad to see that we're back open again. So,
Shane, you talked about some of the operational details, some of the sanitation protocols. I know that we've heard a lot from folks in different industries, but how has this changed with respect to your business? Because there's folks in the audience across different industries, but just a quick thumbnail on what that looks like for you guys and the measures that you're taking.
It's going to be a little bit different in every single state. We're opening up Georgia this week and Florida, as well as Tennessee, and the parameters in those states are not as stringent around the number of people that we can come in, but so we are staggering appointments. So, you know, you can have 4 people come in at say 9 a.m., another 4 at 9:15, another 4 at 9:30, that sort of thing, since they're going off to private rooms. All the sanitation things that we were doing as we were in that last week or two prior to closure, we're doing those things as well. Typical things that everybody's having to do. You know, one of the things is that we're doing in most of these locations is fogging to get a good, solid, cleanse, I guess, before we bring people back in, and just help with team member confidence in that, and help with customer confidence in that. But just the constant sanitation. I mean, if somebody comes to the front desk and touches it, it will be cleaned. We've got somebody at a front door opening and closing those doors and cleaning them. Somebody going between the front and lobby to the back, again, cleaning them. All of the massage tables, everything completely stripped down. We've taken some of the, we have these beautiful covers that so you can't see the tables underneath, and we've just taken those off so that everything that we're using comes off completely and goes in the wash. Therapists will have to wear masks. In most situations, the guests are going to have to wear masks as well. So that does pose a little bit of an issue where you've got a massage therapist might be able to do 3 1-hour massages in a row. They can't necessarily do that. It's just too hard to breathe through 3 hours straight. So they might be able to do 2. So we've had to really kind of get an understanding as to what they can handle, because the work is hard work. They're using their full bodies going into these treatments to give people what they need. So we've had to adjust there as well. And then again, all of the other, I think, typical things that everybody is doing, which is just this constant wipe down and every time anybody touches anything. Another thing that we've done is we do have retail in our environment, and we've taken down all the retail products except for one. So people can't really sample, they can't touch too much, because we just need to eliminate clutter. So no magazines, no just extra stuff. Furniture in the lobbies spread out as well. So we've got social distancing where people might be sitting. And then really, I think in a lot of cases, we won't have many people sitting in the lobbies at all, because we are using texting functions so that they can text us when they arrive, and then we can text them when it's time for them to come in for their appointments, just to help limit that.
Shane, we were just talking about a couple minutes ago before we got on the thing about a good friend of ours who was on the show a couple weeks ago, Johnny Weber, who's a Sport Clips franchisee. And when he was on the show 2 weeks ago, he anticipated his locations in Georgia would have been open 5 days later, or a week ago Wednesday. And as you mentioned to us before, he still doesn't have all of them open in Georgia. So you've been through something now in Colorado where everything did get open. Do you guys anticipate some of the holdups or things where you might not be fully ready and open up a little bit more staggered to make sure everything's going on in each municipality correctly?
Yeah, I think number one, we could have opened up in Georgia on, I think it was April the 24th, if I remember correctly. As soon as the governor came on, it was on a Monday, and we had Friday we could have opened. Our franchisees elected not to. Number one, we didn't want to be the first state in a personal service business to open up right away. We knew that there would be a lot of media attention, and there was. And to some degree it was scrutinized. So we wanted to just be very careful. And more importantly, though, it was about the comfort level of our team members, massage therapists and skin therapists specifically, as they're one-on-one with those guests. So, you know, in order for us to be successful, we have to have people, right, to perform these services. And without those people, we wouldn't be successful. It's not worth opening the business. So we took the approach of, you know, surveying our team members to find out what their real comfort level was with coming back into work. And that said, it put us out a couple of weeks after when we could have reopened.
You know, it's fascinating. Penny, I'm sure it's a little bit different because it's more of a retail, you're a retail environment compared to personal services. I mean, I joked around with my wife today. Of course, I have not bought her a Mother's Day card yet. But she goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't want to go start opening up Mother's Day cards. She goes, you'll have gloves on. I said, I still don't want it. I said, I'll give you 2 next year. She didn't like that idea, but yeah, it's a different, you're going through a different environment compared to, like you said, someone touching your body, touching your, you know, different, you know, going through that opportunity, just like cutting hair. You know, I was talking to one of my neighbors and they've got, he joked around as they're selling almost like plastic things. I joked, I go, that's what riot police use. You know, people say, are you going to have something up there? Is it going to be different? The answer is, I don't know. And I'm sure as you're going through this, things are changing. That's a big advantage about being part of a franchise opportunity. You can give these people in the new markets, as Lane kind of said, we're all going to live through this together.
Well, Brad, you're exactly right. And first, I would suggest, though, that you hand make Sherry a card. There's no excuse that you can't do that. So I'm just saying, just putting it out there. She deserves that.
Yes.
She deserves that, right. And I'll personally ship her if you buy her something from Spice and Tea. So there we go. But, you know, retail environment has been very different. And we have had to close the jars. We've put them on quarantine. We've got Purell stations that we're now going to put, you know, all throughout the location. We're going to try that our franchise owners, our store owners, or their employees are the only ones that are touching the jars for the customer to not smell. But in the future, you know, we're trying to look for the future as well. So everything really changed. We will now be wearing masks. There's no blending going on before or, during business hours, which was a big part. We have blending theaters, unless you have the sneeze guard up that you can show that. We've stopped sampling our products. So we are really an experience-based retail business. I mean, the mission statement of us is creating and sharing the experience, and that's what we enjoy doing. So we have, and Shane used a good word, pivot. We've had to constantly be pivoting on the daily to keep up with what is going to make the consumer and our guests most comfortable. And sanitation has definitely been the key. And we also are struggling with PPE, but we are going to be housing it here and supplying it to our franchise owners so that we can take at least that burden off of them.
You know, and it's a fine balance too, Penny, with, you know, an experiential brand, and that's what Massage Heights is as well, to be able to provide that level of comfort as far as the safety precautions that you're taking, but to also ensure that they're getting that elevated experience that they have come accustomed to, right? So, you know, you can't strip everything down. You still have to make sure that they get to really experience it the way that you want them to, and the way that they've become accustomed to. So that's been a lot of kind of what we've been discussing. You know, what sort of things can we take away that's not going to take away from the guest experience, and what things can we add back in that actually does elevate the experience as well, and, you know, just provides more value.
Shane, that actually dovetails into another topic, which is we've talked a lot about communication cadences internally, you as the franchisor to your team and to your franchisees, but building that trust with the consumer, and also with the your employees. What does your, I almost call it like a grand opening strategy, because you're going, you have to have this communication strategy in place. So what does that look like for you guys? How are you getting your message out, and what is that looking like in the markets that you're going live with?
So for us, as far as communication with the franchisees, I mean, since this all started, we have had, for the most part, at least 3 town halls with them on a weekly basis, just updating them on everything from, you know, funding opportunities to, you know, the sanitary procedures. But a lot of, we've taken this opportunity to really hone in on training and educating and just getting franchisees re-engaged while they're not running their businesses, where, you know, they might not have been as engaged before on marketing initiatives or operating standards or what have you. So we've hosted a number of town halls every single week just for the franchisees, in addition to training calls for their operators. And we've done a series of, you know, I think 1 a day, every single day for the last couple of weeks, just to start ramping up again. And communications to the members and guests are more in the form of either text messaging or through email communications, but just reinforcing the safety standards and making them feel really comfortable. You know, re-engaging with, you know, social media at a local level, and just providing that comfort that what they're coming back to is we have high level standards, and that their health and safety is of utmost importance to them and to us, for the guests as well as for our team members.
Yeah, Penny, I think that you guys have done some good things, and Shane, I've seen as well, as it relates to some of the consumer-facing video content. But Penny, as you're approaching this reopening and communicating with customers as your kind of marketing strategy, what is that looking like for you guys, and what are you getting success with?
So our team, again, come up with and somebody used reopening or grand reopening, because that is kind of what it is. So our team has worked very well on communication, and that goes back to that day in unconference. From that point on, I think that we've put out messages every other day to our franchise owners, and obviously that's changed. You know, at first is, what do I do if I have to furlough somebody? What do I do about a PPP? What do I do about idle? So, and now it's getting back to, okay, how do I look when I actually reopen itself too? And so, you know, for us, we're hearing a lot of positive response, but I want to say from that social media standpoint too, our owners have been amazing. I mean, every one of them stepped up during this point in time and started doing their own videos, started doing their own cooking at home. You know, I myself held kind of a pseudo tea school, but our team is working on that now. Maybe it's a virtual tea school that we all go to in the future, or virtual cooking class. So again, everything has changed, but our local franchise owners have done a wonderful job as far as leaning in, spotlighting their local, and then what we've done is regurgitated that back out on our social media platform as well for them. A lot of curbside pickup, a lot of deliveries that are going on, a lot of ways that they just got through into to do business, and they're doing relatively well as can be expected in it.
Yeah, I think that local social message is absolutely critical. It's what we do as a business, as a supplier, helping folks drill that in. This opportunity is seeing franchisees with a little more time to be able to do that activity, and those local videos and just that local message is really important. So it's good to hear that you guys are doing that. Lane, I want to, if you have anything, feel free to jump in, but what I wanted to do is shift the topic to talk about some technology. This crisis has really accelerated the use of technology in a lot of areas. Shane, as we were talking yesterday or 2 days ago, obviously there's like a reprioritization of that tech stack, but what are you guys both leaning into? I think it's a little bit obvious, but I also think that both of you are up to some good things, but what are you leaning into as a result from this crisis, and how you're approaching technology?
So, you know, candidly, and I said it the other day, we had a really great year last year, and we were on our way to an amazing year this year again. And I think we will recover from this again, just being a membership-based model, that we're very lucky in that sense that we'll be able to pick right back up. However, you know, while there is uncertainty, one of the big initiatives that we had for this year was to get everyone into a situation of just using tablets, being paperless. We have intake forms that we have to fill out and keep, and we want the members to be able to go between locations and not have to worry about filling out paperwork and all of that. So we had a technology rollout, and it wasn't going to just be for the paperless. It was just really about an overall guest experience. The technology allows for them to literally walk in, it checks them in automatically. They don't even have to talk to somebody. They can set up their gratuities and all these things. They don't have to stop at the front desk to leave. It's an automated process. Lots of good stuff with it, and some future innovations that we had in the works that it would have complemented or supported, I should say. But that rollout was supposed to be a mandated rollout June 30th, and we started communicating this about a year ago. Many of our franchisees had invested in the technology, but many of them had not yet. And it's a significant expense. So it was one of the first things that we said, look, this is on hold. If you don't feel comfortable with investing in this technology right now, that's okay. However, I think it's really, really important. I think, we have the capability of having some of the technology that we need through the texting platforms and that sort of thing. But I think what you're seeing is more and more businesses, you want touchless check-in, check-out, right? And this would afford us the ability to do that. So I urge our franchisees to continue to invest in that technology, because I think it's more important just today in the last 2 months than it was even prior to us wanting to roll this technology out. And I think it's going to be the expectation that consumers will have going forward. We have to be innovative. We can't stay and, massage is thousands of years old. You can just do massage, but how do you stand out as a massage establishment if you are not innovating and if you're not using technology to be able to do that? So we're really hoping to press that forward, but we're also cognizant of the expenses, and we want to make sure that our franchisees survive this. So we're careful in how we're approaching it over time.
Penny?
And I think that's a great point, Shane. I think the cost of it, so the big eye-opener for us as well has been technology almost overnight, and we're a little bit unique in that we have our own distribution center that we send the product to our franchisees as well. So technology from that operational side, how can we get more nimble? How can we get faster? Literally overnight, the switch flipped, and our web was like we were almost in the holiday again, but we were trying to hurry up and keep up with it. So technology on that end, and then we were starting to launch. We had our conference last September, and we were ready to launch a new digital plan. We were not quite as far as you were, Shane, but obviously COVID has stopped that. But I think you're right now, what we grapple with is we know that we need the technology, so maybe you could order online or something and then go pick it up in the store, but we also know there's a cost. And right now, to be continued candid, our franchise owners are watching every single penny, as we all know. So very delicate balance on that.
Yeah, Lane, if you want to jump in, if you have any questions, feel free to do so.
I think that, I just wonder how much advice folks are asking for about personnel and the strategy, I guess, from, you have now the payroll loans funding, so it's the who and when question. And now you have, I don't know if those are local or county or state ordinances that are going to change the model further. But wonder what kind of coaching you can give around profitability under the new normal.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet spot for franchisees to be in that just acquired their funding, their PPP or EIDL loans or anything that they've gotten. If they're able to open, right? Because that's covering all their payroll costs while they're opening. I know there's been a lot of, how can we line up getting our loans with when we actually open and operate? But we know that that's not what the money was intended for. It was to keep people off unemployment. So for those that were lucky enough to be able to line that up, that's a pretty amazing place to be. For us, we have been giving education on this for weeks and weeks and weeks. We are constantly going through, every line of the financial statements and making sure that they understand how this is going to affect them and how they can best use it. The ones, again, that are lining up, they've got an opportunity to really be able to save, quite honestly, some cash while they're paying their employees with these funds. But for the rest, you have to get really I think, creative in how you use the money. So if you can't employ massage therapists, for instance, to perform massages during this time, what can you have them do while they're not actually able to work? You know, can you use them? Can you just have them training and getting better? Can you use them to call members and keep up with them to make sure that our members feel good and want to come back? They know we're here for them. Can they go out and do a little bit of marketing? Can we go out and help and do some nice things for some of those frontline workers, the people that are out there doing the hard jobs? So we've given suggestions. We're not telling them what to do, but we do go a lot through just financials and making sure that they understand, what position they're in. What does your cash flow look like?
That's okay. How about you, Penny?
Very similar to with Shane, just I think through education. Then, on the other side of that, because we do have laborers here at the distribution center, that's been interesting because unemployment is our biggest competitor right now, right? Why would you want to go and work when you can kind of hang out there at home for a little bit and do okay? So a lot has changed in that arena for us. So our HR department has really continued to get creative on how we bring quality folks back in for this re-emergence of what we're going through. But again, I think a lot of it's similar to Shane. It just really goes back to education and communication, which if you really want to boil it down, guys, this whole entire situation, you've either elevated or you've failed based on your communication or lack thereof with your system. And I really think that is the key to all that we've seen. And we've been very transparent. If we didn't have the answers with our owners, that we don't have the answer, but we're willing to look for it too. So
that's the level. I'm sorry, Brad. I was just going to say the level of engagement that we have from our franchisees right now, because they're not actually running the business, is the best we've actually ever had on live calls, right? And it's an opportunity to really build trust and confidence. And we are getting messages every single day from our franchisees thanking us for all that we're doing, and keeping them in the loop and moving forward and holding them accountable too to some of the things that they can be doing right now to help ensure the success of the business when it opens up. So that communication is absolutely critical.
It's funny, as I was going to say before, Penny, you brought up a word that Lane and I had a conference call about today, because both of you guys have been to our Springboard before, and the key word is, we always call it emerge and we call it reemerge. And the word reemerge right now, Lane was way too smart 4 or 5 years ago when we put the word reemerge back out there. No one of us ever thought we were going to be going through this over that. And the word you brought up before was pivot. And as we reemerge, certain states are, as Lane mentioned, Philadelphia ain't going to be opening anytime soon. They're talking about in Chicago, restaurants wouldn't be open till possibly the end of June for dine-in. And so people are reemerging at different times. And in the same state, it can be different counties or different cities are all going to be reemerging at different times. And to be able to pivot what you are learning from different people, different places. And as we're going through this, this being our fourth week into this, how things have dramatically changed, even in these 4 week period. Nothing was open 4 weeks ago. Now things are emerging, going to reemerge, reopening. Shane, your locations were closed. Penny, yours were open. But now how you pivot around to really work to it is really what's going to make people successful, and communication is such a big key about it.
Yeah. Question from the audience. Scott McGarry asked, and this is along the marketing communication vein, how do you plan to make the transition from just being open and operating to get back to driving sales revenue without coming across as insensitive? So that's kind of a messaging thing. Any quick words of advice on that topic about the sensitivity?
I think for us, I can answer that very quickly. Since we are in the retail space, let's call it, we're hearing rumors now that this may reemerge in fall, right? Well, where does that bring us? Right into the holidays. I'm going to take us back to August of 2008, and what Amy and I have talked about is where really our plan is to continue to focus on that consumable end of things. between the end of the year. And I think that we're, again, in a good spot, but maybe it looks a little bit differently. So maybe during the holiday, maybe you take home your whole bundle kit to make your whole Thanksgiving at home, et cetera. So we're trying to change that. And I don't believe that is insensitive, because these are all things that people are using, right? And we're all kind of burnt out on chicken and fish. And so why not spruce it up with a great spicer blend? So I think that we're going to be okay going into that.
I'd say for us, it's easy, Ryan. I mean, we didn't know what to expect coming into this situation. We've kept our members. Overall, as a system, we've lost about 6% of our members, and we've continued to charge them membership dues, because in our model, you get one service every single month as a member, and it rolls over, right? The members are really, really committed, because quite frankly, it's a very relationship-oriented business. You build a relationship with the team that greets you every time you come in, because you're a member. You're coming in on a regular basis. It's not a one and done spa treatment and you're never going back because you're on vacation. You build these relationships. You build your relationships with the massage therapists as well. And honestly, the majority of the people that come in to see us are in some level of pain. They need massage therapy. Everybody's stressed out right now. People are saying, if you were open, I'd come in today. And so I don't think it's insensitive. I think it's actually, we're in a business in which people do need the service that we're providing. And again, it just gets back to communicating the level of safety that we're here from them, that we're for them, that we've taken all of the precautions, that we're doing temperature checks, that we're doing all the things that, are necessary to ensure that the safety of them.
One of the things, and thank you for that, Shane. One of the things, and I see we have a couple more questions coming in and also directly to the panelists, so we'll get to those. But one of the things that you're doing that's very unique that I haven't heard anywhere, as Brad was talking about reemerging, and even different states, different counties might have different plans. There's a lot of talk about, well, what happens if and when a second wave hits. And so for your business and with your industry, I'm aware that you've formed an alliance, even with some competitors, to try to get in front of that, to have your business listed as essential because people are in pain. So share what you're doing with that really quickly. I think some people in different industries, this might help.
Sure. Actually, yeah, several weeks ago, I reached out to a couple of our largest competitors, people that we're normally going head to head with. And I said, hey, I think we need to get aligned to ensure that we are all, we've got good sanitation practices in place, because we want to make sure that our therapists, our team members, and our guests come back. So let's get aligned on that. And so we did that, started the conversation. We shared our practices, we shared everything, and we all enhanced what we had based on that. In addition, we've taken it a step further, and we have come together as three of the biggest brands in the industry, and have written a letter to all of our governors. We've got somebody that we're working with at the IFA on the Hill. We've got a lobbyist that we're now working with in Texas as well. It's the state that we have the most number of units combined. And we have come together as three big brands to make sure that we can, or to hope that we can get massage therapy designated as essential. Now, it's not going to help so much right now, because obviously our states are opening up. But if we end up in this situation in the fall, we believe that this would be an opportunity to help ensure that we can keep our businesses open. And so that's really the driver behind this now. There are states that currently are allowing massage therapy if it's done in a chiropractic office. By the way, that's done in no way, shape, or form differently than the way that we do it. It's the same hands-on, one-on-one, in a 10x10 treatment room kind of thing. There is no reason that a chiropractor can offer massage in their office today in some of these states, and we should not be able to. So yeah, we've joined forces, and we're hoping to make an impact for our franchisees by doing so.
Love it. Let's talk about franchise development. One of the questions that we had submitted on registration was, what are your thoughts on virtual discovery days, which leads us to the greater topic of franchise development. So Penny, how are you guys approaching franchise development in this time, and what are your thoughts here on virtual discovery days and all the rest?
So ironically, through this, again, our EVP Marty has been keeping us up to date. We do have people in the pipeline and leads that are out there even right now that are inquiring. They're obviously not as much as they were. We did attempt to do one virtual discovery day. Then the gentleman during COVID was is still stuck overseas, so that didn't pan out. But it is our plan, I think, at the end of May to do one virtual discovery day. The beautiful part about this is that we've got a couple of our folks that are already in different locations, so we've really already mastered kind of how we flow them into the discovery day. Where our concern is because we are a distribution center, we do things like we bring you into the blending room, we bring you into to show you how everything's done. So that we still haven't figured out. We're thinking maybe we send them a kit that arrives to them that will be interactive somehow. So we're working on some other options for the discovery days as well. But we do see ourselves going to those for sure.
We have not done any virtual discovery days yet, Ryan. I would imagine we would. We're looking into technology called Matterport, really inexpensive to use, where you can basically take people through a walkthrough tour of a location, and you can either do a talk through it or do a voiceover with it, where they can literally experience walking through the location, and the way that you would do during a discovery day. But we do have several people in the pipeline. We haven't seen a big surge in new leads yet. I think people are kind of sitting and waiting. I'm really excited though, because I think that our business in coming out of this is going to show that it's a very resilient business model. In 2008 and 2009, when most businesses were suffering, our Massage Heights locations that were in the markets that had the highest level of unemployment actually were some of the best locations in the country. And so it's a value-oriented business model, right? We bring a lot of value to our consumers, and through the membership base, and again through, I think, this what's happened, which only a 6% loss, which is really insignificant when you think about it, will show that the model is resilient, and that we're going to have a compelling story to tell. Who wouldn't want to be in a business where even during a shutdown, you're able to retain that percentage of your customers that are continuing to pay you? They're not frozen. Now, if this thing were going longer, I mean, that would be, probably something that we'd have to look at. But right now, where we're at, we've got an amazing story to tell, and I think it's going to be, I think we're going to have a positive outcome from it.
Comment from Heidi: we had a virtual broker discovery day, and it was a huge success and so much fun. On the topic of hiring, really quick, because this is another question that was submitted, and I think it's interesting because you have the perspective of opening, so you're seeing about getting your therapists back, and Penny, getting your folks back, and you're kind of on the front lines and seeing that now. But what hiring challenges can I expect? It seems as if you're not seeing as big of a challenge getting people back as some of the other folks that we've heard from. But any quick thoughts there?
I think for us, we haven't hit those challenges. I think that what we're finding again is as they reemerge, those folks that will be asked back or furloughed will be, and then there's a large pool of folks out there that were really good candidates that I think that you've got now to pull from. So I think that all the seats on the bus may change who that person was, but I think that I think in our case we're going to be just fine.
What we've seen so far is that our team members really want to come back, and that showed in the numbers this last week in Colorado. To open up your doors and be able to do 60 locations or 60 appointments in one day, you can't do that without team member commitment, right? So they want to come back. They're healers. They want to help people. For those that don't, we're giving them more time. It's obviously about their comfort level, but I think we have a real opportunity. There's a lot of independents out there, and the independents, unfortunately, probably will not survive this. They have not been able to access unemployment insurance, PPP, all of those things. And what we're hearing from therapists that have been independents are that they don't ever want to be in this position again, where they just don't have the money to be able to take care of their families. And so I do think it's a great opportunity for us to recruit people. I think right now for every brand as it pertains to hiring is, how do you stand out? What is the differentiator? What is your culture like? Why would I want to work there? And I mean, there were 3 million more people that applied for unemployment today, right? Was in the news. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for brands to be able to get the right people in, whether that's at the corporate level or in the retail level. But I also still think that people are also looking for they're looking for a good fit, obviously, and culture, and if you can stand out as a company that does good, takes care of their team members, that you win. And I see this as a positive for us.
I guess I'd like to jump into the question. I like the more warmer questions, the ones that are hard to identify. I mean, how, and I guess I could have given this in advance, it would have been good to choreograph an answer. How has this crazy circumstance, when you think you're ready for change and culture and blah, 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 all the stuff we've been talking about, and then something like this comes along, how has it challenged your leadership skills, or how have your leadership skills grown? I know even in my own office, like when this all went down, it's like, oh, these people are all waiting to hear from me. Like we have so many delegated functions that allow us to do what we do and be compartmentalized. But this was a thing where a leader had to speak on behalf of what this organization was going to do on zero notice and with zero experience in the world of anybody doing. And I just wonder, I'll start with you, Shane. Is it, humbling, or what's an adjective for it?
Yeah, it's so crazy. I think that sometimes as leaders, and maybe it's an entrepreneurial thing, or just a leadership thing, we don't recognize always the impact that we have on our teams, both positive and negative, and that what we say really matters. I think sometimes we think we have things to say that might not matter, but they do matter. They matter to people. And our teams are relying heavily on how we come through for them, how stable we are, how inspiring we are, at the same time driving them to get done what needs to get done. And I recognize very, very quickly when we had to make some big changes when this first happened, when we had to furlough some people too. We were worried. We didn't know what was going to happen. And I knew really, really quickly that I needed to get my team even more engaged on a daily basis than less. And it has been humbling. I've been, just to see what our team has been able to do in such a short period of time, the way that they've come together, the way that they've banded, the way that they've said, we're going to get through this, and even reminded me, sometimes we're going to get through all this. We've got a great brand, and we're all here for you, and we're here for these franchisees, has been humbling. It's been, and with our franchisees too, to get the messages to say, oh my gosh, you guys are doing such a great job. The leadership has been incredible. Thank you so much for keeping us informed. They need us right now. And so we've got to be stable, and we've got to communicate well, and show that compassion and empathy. And I think for me, I've learned a lot about myself in this time, and I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Right, exactly. Like, it's not a business school course on, this is such gut instincts and relies on trust that you've inspired among your people. Penny,
you don't remember the 1918 pandemic? How you functioned your
No, and I don't want to live through one like this again either.
No, but I like those. That was very inspiring, Shane. I'd like to hear Penny as well. I mean, so your business, most of the people are in your operation, working in the warehouse, and all these frontline employment issues and everything else. And you've always sort of been the big cheese there, but this had to be challenging for anybody.
So challenging. Again, just really show a lot of gratitude for where we were at that time, and think that really helped us out in Utah to set the tone. And Amy and I immediately decided how we were going to lead through this. And that was going to be to rise above. And we made a commitment and we're really fortunate because, I've got a great CEO of our company, and her and I work together very well. So when there was a meltdown or there was something, we did it underneath of our own space, you know, just between the two of us. But we've really tried to make those efforts to, you know, not let them see you sweat. It doesn't mean that we can't be empathetic and understand where we are. But what we did, we also had to furlough some people, but Amy and I took it upon ourselves. We believed it was our responsibility. We called every individual employee that we have within our corporate team, and we spoke to them. We did it over the course of a full week. We then also divided and conquered all of our store owners between her, myself, and I think Marty, and really reached out to them just to start out the conversation with, how you doing? You know? I mean, because it's different everywhere. If you're calling the, you know, the franchise owner in Williamsburg, how you doing? I'm stressed. I'm homeschooling 3 kids. My business is in the tank. What do I do? You know, it's okay. You're going to be fine. We're going to get through this together, and you're not alone. So we've really kept a very positive attitude, but I think at the beginning of it, Lane, you know, you said there is no business school for this and there isn't anything, but I believe that we've all got it in our hearts, that if you're empathetic and that if you are truly that compassionate or that entrepreneurial spirit, you're going to find a way. And what we did also with our team out here is I had to have a meeting with the entire team and say, listen, are you comfortable being here? Are you comfortable being in this distribution center environment? And every single one of them, without hesitation, shook their head yes, because if they could help the franchise owner, then they still wanted to do that. And that was like so impactful for me. I mean, these are folks that they're hourly employees, you know what I mean? But they are coming in every day and they're putting on their hairnet. They're like, nope, we've got this. Let's get our wonderful product out there. And it was like so, it was humbling. It was humbling, and the gratitude. I mean, that's all that I can show. And I wish I could show you guys the other side of my board, but very quickly, at the beginning of 2020, we had all of our team members come in and I said, tell me what your 2020 word is. Tell me what you got. So like, this was one of them. They were grateful. And that was from Eva. We had some that said that they were blessed. One of them that's in here that's so impactful for me said, be not afraid. And in January 2020, when you heard that, you're like, right, be not afraid. Go in there and kick it in the ass, right? And now here we are post-COVID, and you see be not afraid. What does that mean? Wow, you know what? Be not afraid. We're going to be okay, you guys. This is all, and I think that's the other thing that's been huge. In 2008, we could segregate who it really affected. This has had no gender, no racial, there's been no inequality over this. I mean, let's talk about when we all heard that Tom and Rita Wilson had it. You know, the whole world went crazy. So I think that's been the other thing for me that has allowed, I know for Amy and I, to try to remain balanced, is that we're not alone. Everyone on this call, everyone on this panel has got their own story to tell. And that's unique in a lot of ebbs and flows that we've seen in business industry.
It's crazy because we are, you know, we have a long list of folks that we consider for joining us on this series, and you have impressed us with your leadership. And you know, I think it's inspiring. And when I see you get choked up about hourly employees, you know, showing heart in the business, and they don't walk by. That's not a passerby. That's not like leave in the mailbox. You've obviously done something to inspire them there, right or correctly over time, that has people saying, this is us, this is our business, this is our shit, these are our customers, these are our people who are in pain, and these are people that we share something in common with. And so I hope, you know, look, everybody in the whole world can't publish a book at the same time, but honestly, you should take notes on sort of these obstacles, how you've dealt with them, and ultimately what the upside is. And I think you breathe hope into the folks that are in areas that are closed, areas that are just, you know, where franchisees are just, you know, the longer you get pushed out, you know how hard it is. So to come on and share your early experiences, and you know us, we'll be back and asking you to tell us what the next week was like and the third week was like. But we're blessed and grateful to have you part of our franchise family. We keep talking about it, but it's real people. It's not a metaphor. It's, if anything, it's a metaphor that you can make a list of a zillion people. But thank you so much. And your lack of panic, your charm and elegance, and even describing something I know that's extraordinarily difficult is refreshing and nice to hear. So we love you guys. I know we got to be getting close to the end, right?
Yeah. I think that's a perfect way to end it. Yeah, it's a perfect way to end it. Thank both of you for coming on. And I started off quoting Catherine Monson, "A diamond is a piece of coal that took stress very well through calm and courage." I think you guys are displaying that in full effect. So appreciate your
You guys have
words.
been wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
guys
guys.
so much for
Thanks, you
having us
guys.
for
Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.